The Espada are easily one of my favourite groups of villains from Bleach. They each have a unique personality with an overwhelming set of skills that make them perfect for being Aizen's elite soldiers. Each of the Espada are able to transform into a special form called their RESURRECCION. This grants the Arrancars with abilities from their time as Hollows, thus explaining why their RESURRECCION resembles their original Hollow form from before they had become humanoid Arrancars. Typically, an Arrancar will seal their abilities away into their sword, and when they release their Zanpakuto, it reveals the Arrancar's true form. Each RESURRECCION is unique and different from one another, like Noitora's release form, which transforms his blade into a large scythe-like weapon, or Stark's RESURRECCION, which sees him merge with his companion Lilynet, who in fact is his fully sentient Zanpakuto. After activating the first release, it will greatly increase the strength, speed, and general ability of the user, as their Reiatsu in their RESURRECCION form is more like a Hollow's rather than an Arrancar's. Mayuri had even described the RESURRECCION of the Espada to be similar to the Bankai of a Shinigami. In this video, I want to rank the top 5 RESURRECCION forms in the series. I will be paying particular attention to the uniqueness of the abilities that are granted to the user and how effective they are in a battle setting. Also, I want to preface that I am only talking about the Espada's first RESURRECCION in this video, so there is no Segunda Etapa or Beyond RESURRECCION from BBS included in this list. So without further delay, this is my ranking of the top 5 best Arrancar RESURRECCION from Bleach. Join me in thanking this video's sponsor, Raid Shadow Legends. This game has proven to be an unstoppable force within the mobile and PC gaming market. Raid is a free-to-play, combat-centered collection RPG featuring an immersive storyline with AAA game graphics and intensive boss battles that all fit into the palm of your hand. Raid has over 700 champions for you to collect, including my favorite new faction called the Sylvan Watchers. They inhabit the huge jungles of Mistwood. The beastly Sylvan Watchers are a variety of champions that you can collect, with each one being in tune with nature in a very unique way. Some of my favorite champions from this faction are literal trees. The new year brings with it a fresh new raid update with all new features, including a new season of the Forge Pass, the Platinum Points program where you can earn in-game rewards like legendary champions, and new champions like the Sylvan Watchers. This year, Raid is also celebrating its 4th anniversary with the launch of a new Titan event that lasts for several weeks, allowing you to earn anniversary points by competing in special themed events. For the best head start, download Raid using my link in the description or scan the QR code you see on screen and you'll get a free starter pack with all of these incredible bonuses. Additionally, the MMA and pro wrestling star Ronda Rousey has leaped into the world of Raid with her very own in-game champion. To celebrate her arrival, use the promo code RAIDRONDA and get yourself a ton of in-game items like 500,000 silver, a 3-day 100% experience boost, and 5 full energy refills. So what are you waiting for? Follow my special link in the description and I'll see you all in there. Now let's get back to the topic of the video. Starting off at number 5, we have the Queen of Hueco Mundo, Tia Haribel, with the RESURRECCION of her Zanpakuto Tiburon. She releases her Zanpakuto with the command Destroy, as she undergoes considerable physical change that makes her physically resemble a shark. This is also in line with the name of her Zanpakuto Tiburon, which also means shark. Her blade transforms into this oversized weapon with gill markings running across it. The ability of her RESURRECCION mostly enhances and improves upon her existing powers, and most notably she is also able to create water from the gill markings on her blade, and is then able to completely manipulate the water that she has created. She has several abilities in this form, including the technique Trident, which makes her blade radiate with yellow Reiatsu, as she swings down her blade towards her target, resulting in a powerful intense cutting wave that is powerful enough to split an opponent in two, as seen in chapter 356 when she uses this ability against Hitsugaya. Her technique Lagota allows her to gather and condense large amounts of water near her blade, as she fires it like bullets resembling a shark's tooth. The resultant blasts of water are strong enough to topple entire buildings, as we see in chapter 358. One of her most destructive powers that she demonstrates in her release state is the technique Cascada, as it results in a large torrent of water rushing towards her target. High pressure water is blasted at the opponent, which literally drowns and carries them away with the resultant force of the water. The attack is also powerful enough to flood and destroy several town blocks. Haribel's Resurrection has a lot of potential for growth, and I really look forward to seeing it used again if she makes another appearance within Kubo's Hell arc. Also, I hope that the 1000-Year Blood War arc anime reveals to us a key off-screen battle involving Haribel when she had fought against the Quincy within Hueco Mundo. I'm sure that she had used a Resurrection before she was defeated, so it would be great to see this fight finally revealed in animated form, and hopefully her Resurrection may have some updated powers since the last time that we saw it. In the 4th spot, we have the Resurrection of the #1 Espada Stark with his Zanpakuto Los Lobos. When it is released, he undergoes a dramatic physical transformation as he gains tremendous power that was sealed away within his companion Lilynet. We learn that Stark and Lilynet had both originated from the same hollow, thus explaining the close link between the two of them. In his Resurrection form, he acquires 2 identical guns, and this is what Lilynet transforms into. As she takes up the form of the 2 guns, she remains conscious of what is going on around her, and she's even able to speak through them. Stark's Arrancar outfit also undergoes a lot of change as he is now wearing fur-lined clothing, including a new jacket and knee-high fur leggings. Within his Resurrection form, he experiences enhancements to his existing powers, like his speed, strength, and defensive abilities, and this is similar to Haribel's Resurrection. Additionally, he's able to utilize entirely new techniques like an enhanced version of his Sero. He can now fire multiple Seros from his pistols that are far more stronger than before. Shunsui had clarified that Stark fires more powerful Seros from his right pistol, while the left pistol fires weaker Seros that are faster and can be fired more repeatedly. In chapter 363, Stark states that he can fire over 1000 Seros at once, clearly proving why his Resurrection is not to be taken lightly. In chapter 374, Stark demonstrates an ability called Komilo. As he materializes a pair of swords made up of his Reiatsu, he uses them to battle against the dual-bladed Shikai of Shunsui. We have discussed Stark's impressive ability to fire hundreds of Seros, but the main reason why Stark makes it onto this list of top 5 Resurrection is because of his soul partition technique that he demonstrates in chapter 373. Similar to how his original hollow form was divided into 2 entities, Lilynet and himself, he is also able to split his Reiatsu into other beings once he is fused with Lilynet. We see him materialize a pack of wolves in exchange for his 2 pistols. Stark is able to command the pack of wolves to target his opponent as he orders them to explode at the moment that they bite their target. This attack is pretty similar to Gotenk's Super Ghost Kamikaze attack from Dragon Ball. The wolves have incredible maneuverability as they can navigate through rubble and move around at high speed. Stark states that the wolves are far more powerful than his Sero attacks, and they are able to overwhelm 2 Captain class Shinigami, as seen during Stark's battle against Love and Rose in chapter 373. The 3rd best Resurrection has to go to none other than Ulquiorra, whose Zanpakuto Murcielago releases with the command in prison. When Ulquiorra activates his Resurrection, the surroundings erupt with black and green Reiatsu, which becomes an ocean of suffocating spiritual pressure that begins to fall from above like green rain. Like the other Espada on this list, Ulquiorra's Resurrection transforms his physical appearance into a form resembling a bat. As he sprouts large black wings from his back, his hair also grows out longer in length and 2 oversized horns appear on his head. His Resurrection again builds upon his overall abilities as he has enhanced strength, speed, and durability, with his iron skin becoming strong enough to withstand a holified Getsuga Tencho from Ichigo. What sets Ulquiorra's Resurrection apart from the others on this list is that he is able to activate a second release called Segunda Etapa, but I won't be talking about that as it would give him an unfair advantage over the other Espada on this list. His released form allows Ulquiorra to use a technique called Luz de la Luna. He creates long-range weapons out of his green Reiatsu, as we see in chapter 345. He is able to fire these weapons from a distance, targeting his opponent. Another very notable ability that he uses in his Resurrection is Sero Oscuras. It is a black wave of energy with a green outline. It resembles Ichigo's holified Getsuga Tencho. This attack is powerful enough to shatter Ichigo's hollow mask, as he completely removes it from his face. Additionally, with this attack, he is able to destroy a large part of the Dome of Las Noches. Now, the second Resurrection on this list is the release of Xylopodo's Zanpakuto for Nicaras. In its released state, his Zanpakuto is a standard sized blade. His Resurrection is activated by the command Sip, as he proceeds to swallow his Zanpakuto down his mouth like some sort of David Blaine stunt. His body then begins to grow large larger as he unleashes a large amount of Reiatsu. The lower half of his body transforms into tentacles. His arms are draped with these purple blob-like extensions, and Xyloporo makes it onto the second spot of this list because of his RESURRECCION's list of several abilities that grant him the advantage in most battle situations. Admittedly, Xyloporo would have had more success if he wasn't targeted by the smarter Mayuri Kurosuchi, who was able to perfectly counter his released form after having observed it and prepared for it in advance. Xyloporo is able to use a twisted ability called Puppet Theater. After he captures his target with his wings and spits them back out, one of the strands on his wings begin to enlarge with liquid, as it then bursts open, revealing a small voodoo doll of his target. Any damage that he inflicts onto the doll affects his opponent. Additionally, he is able to remove the organs from the doll and damage them, causing critical damage to his opponent from the inside. Xyloporo is able to pick out any particular organ, as each of them are labeled in Spanish. Puppet Theater is one of the most unique powers within Bleach, and frankly I was fascinated by seeing the voodoo dolls and the amazing twist that he can pull out each of the internal organs from the doll. If Xyloporo is eaten, he is also able to dissolve his body and embed himself into the central nervous system of his opponent. He possesses the body of Mayuri's Bankai Konjigi Ashisogi Jizo, making it attack Mayuri, but thankfully the Shinigami was able to foresee such an event unfolding, as he had prepared for his Bankai to self-destruct if anyone other than himself attempts to control it. Now, one of the most broken abilities of his RESURRECCION is called Gabriel, which allows him to be reborn if he is fatally wounded and is about to die. The technique involves him impregnating himself into his target, similar to how xenomorphs reproduce within the Alien movies. The Espada is able to impregnate his target by simply touching them. He then literally eats his way out of the body of his target like a butterfly emerging from its cocoon. Xyloporo prides himself because of this ability. He compares it to a phoenix rising from the ashes, as he describes himself as a perfect being because of this technique. This ideology of perfection is contrasted against Mayuri, who believes in the idea of rejecting perfection. He embodies the quote, "never say perfect." Nemu should have died after Xyloporo was born, but Mayuri had already had the necessary precautions in place to revive her. So because of these incredibly unique abilities, Xyloporo makes it as the number 2 pick on my list. So before we get to the number 1 spot on the list, let's talk about some honourable mentions, as we start with Grimmjow and the resurrection of his Zanpakuto Pantera. Similar to Haribel, his body takes up the characteristics of an animal, and it's no surprise that Grimmjow takes up the form of a panther, with his feline characteristics and impressive boosts in his speed, strength and overall endurance. It was quite a formidable release, but it certainly has room for improvement, which is the reason why it didn't make it onto the top 5 list. The next honourable mention is Neliel's resurrection, which transforms her into a centaur-like appearance. In this form, she wields a large javelin that she throws at her opponent. While in the air, it builds up Reiatsu and drills itself through its target. Its immense power is able to pierce and critically damage anyone. Now this one is an honourable mention because of how jaw-dropping Neliel's transformation was, and how it has a lot of potential for growth in the future, especially considering that we have only seen her use one ability in her resurrection, which was in chapter 296. Now the last honourable mention goes to Zomari, as he undergoes a considerable change in appearance similar to Xyloporo, as his lower body becomes oversized, transforming into a giant pumpkin-like shape. His powers are all reliant upon multiple eyes that now cover his body. He is able to control any object with each of his eyes. This alone is really overpowered, and if not for Byakuya's countless Zambonzakura petals, then Zomari would have controlled Byakuya's limbs to make him inflict serious self-harm. Additionally, Zomari is able to control an individual's entire body just by controlling their head. Now we have finally reached the number 1 spot on this list with the resurrection of the number 2 Espada, Baragon. His Zanpakuto's resurrection is activated with the release command Decay. His physical form completely changes as his flesh is burned away, leaving his skeletal structure behind, literally reducing his body down to the bone. He also wears a purple cloak with several gold chains that complement his golden crown that gives him a royal appearance fitting for the former ruler of Hueco Mundo. Typical of every resurrection, his natural abilities are enhanced, including his iron skin, which allows him to withstand a direct hit from Soifon's Bankai. What makes this resurrection worthy of the number 1 spot on this list is his ability to decay any object around him. This includes living beings and inanimate objects. Anyone who comes close enough to him will begin to age quickly and deteriorate before even making contact with him. His power called Respiria is the one that we should be most concerned about, as he breathes out a literal breath of death. Respira manifests as a black and purple smoke, which emits from his body. Anyone who comes into contact with this smoke will instantly rot and age. It was fast enough to reach Soifon, who was escaping from it at full speed, but she was still unable to avoid it. The ability had ended up decaying her left arm, leaving behind only the skeleton of her arm. The decaying would have spread across her body if Soifon did not quickly rip off the affected limb, thus stopping the spread of Baragon's power. Respira is a very versatile technique, as Baragon is able to control the speed at which the smoke spreads. Additionally, he is also able to decay even Kido, thus allowing him to destroy Kido spells that are used against him. Baragon's RESURRECCION is based on the principle that all living things will eventually die, and all things that they create will also die. This amazing transformation had almost defeated Soifon and her lieutenant, that is until she had teamed up with the Vizard Hachi and had given it her all, as she was barely able to defeat Baragon. The overpowered and outright broken nature of the first release of Baragon Zanbakuto is the reason why it has made it onto this list. So what are your thoughts after having seen my picks for the top 5 best RESURRECCION within Bleach? Do you agree with my choices, or do you believe that I didn't mention some of your favorite Arrancar's release forms? I would love for all of you to continue the discussion in the comments and let me know what are your picks for the best RESURRECCION in Bleach. Do you agree that Baragon has the best release, or do you think that another Espada has a better form? I can't wait to read all of your comments, and lastly, thank you for making it to the end of this video, and I can't wait to see you in my next Bleach video. If you enjoy my content, then you can support my channel through Patreon for as little as $1 a month, or even through YouTube by becoming a channel member. You will gain access to exclusive channel perks and a Discord server which I frequently use. So become a member of my Zero Division and be the first to know about my upcoming videos. And once again, thank you for sticking around till the end of the video, and whatever you contribute will mean a lot to me.